Hi, welcome to my garden. Today we're going to look at pumpkins and some of the common problems you may be having as far as getting pumpkins. There's a lot of people that have pumpkins on their don't bother growing list. They grow really fast, they put on a lot of green, and they don't produce a lot of fruit. And if you've got a really lush plant and you don't have any fruit, I've got 4 tips for you. So come on, let's take a look. As you know, this is a garden story. And every Saturday we celebrate you and what's going on in your garden. Now I have to make a correction, and this goes right along with growing pumpkins. Last Saturday I said Rob and Valerie grew their pumpkin out of a container. To get a pumpkin that size, she's been growing pumpkins for a long time, and says this one was a volunteer that came out of the mulch. And that ties into one of my tips. So let's talk a little bit about a pumpkin. They are very fast growing. Their lifespan is about 100 to 120 days. They don't produce flowers until about 50 to 60 days, so that's about halfway through their life. Pumpkins put on the male flower much sooner than they put on the female flower to attract pollinators. That way when the female flowers show up, they're ready to go. Pumpkin flowers only last a day. That one was today's flower, and there's tomorrow's flower right next to some carrot flowers. Right there's an example of a female that did not get pollinated. And right down here is an example of a pumpkin that did get pollinated. And right here we got a female flower that should be in the game tomorrow or the next day. And if you're getting tons of male flowers and no female flowers, and you've got a lot of really green, healthy leaves, you may have too much nitrogen. In the deep mulch, I haven't worried about it. And just like Valerie's coming out of the compost pile, she had plenty of nitrogen and phosphorus. If you're not getting female flowers, and you're not in a deep mulch or coming out of a compost, you may want to add some phosphorus. Now I don't recommend fertilizers, but in this case, a 5-10-10 mix, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Or you could work some bone meal in around your plants. We saw that the other day. That's a little pie pumpkin, and it's already turning orange. But that's all the bigger it's going to get. So we've got 2 pumpkins off of 4 plants. If we get a couple more, I'll be happy. Sometimes extreme heat can affect whether or not you're going to get flowers. These are sun-loving plants, but anything above 90 degrees, that heat will hurt those leaves a little bit. You also want to make sure your soil is well drained. They need to have enough water, but just like everything else, you can't give them too much water. And here again, I'm going to have to make a correction. We've got our 3rd one pollinated right there. Another trick that the commercial growers have that they don't really talk about is once you get 1 or 2 pollinated and started growing a little bit, you cut all the other runners back. The cut end you bury into the soil. You don't want too many vines growing. That puts more energy into growing the size of the pumpkin that you want. I'm not going to mess with all of that. I'm just happy to have these little sugar pies. I don't grow pumpkins every year because they are a little finicky to grow. Now this cushaw is supposed to taste better than a pumpkin. Let's go take a look at it. Now yesterday was Trellis Tuesday. Look at the massive size of that thing. We had some technical difficulties yesterday, but the smaller one that I had hanging in the little hammock, we took it down. The rest of the vine just pretty much disappeared, and our spaghetti squash went to naught. Even the squash themselves, I should have taken them off a day or so earlier, but that's gardening for you. We got a bunch of zucchini that's still coming on strong. We have had a little bit of vine borer damage here and there, but we've been pretty lucky so far this year. And even the squash bugs aren't too bad. I got one more trick about the pumpkins. Just like all the other squash, you can manually pollinate them. You take the male flower, pull the petals back with the stamen exposed, and then pollinate the female. Or you can use a Q-tip, go around to 3 or 4 of the males, get their pollen, and then pollinate the female. Those are tricks that actually work. Well, and I hope you get some pumpkins this year. But has anybody ever said you can't have enough beets? I saw something a second ago. Check this out. Yeah. That's a pretty nice beet. I'm going to take this one too. That one not too bad. Got a couple small ones. We'll leave those growing. Got some good beet tops. You can do this too. Now I see a tomato I want to bring in. That's going to be 2 pounds. Well, only 1.5 pounds. If you want to learn about growing tomatoes, click that link and I'll meet you right back in the garden. If you want to learn about the deep mulch, click that link and I'll meet you right back in the garden. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.